What made you lose respect for someone? Had an captain and lieutenant, fire department, that made my life absolute fucking hell for 9 months, berating me for things I didn't do to their standard with no previous training, while refusing to train with me, berating me for calls I didn't even go on, but when asked about my opinion I gave an unacceptable opinion, or just straight up bullying me on the daily. I started having panic attacks at work and then began looking for a station transfer, but realistically that wasn't going to happen in my position at the time. I tried approaching them on their off time to talk to them about changing their behavior. One flat out refused to meet with me and the other met with me but avoided talking about the issue and instead bashed other co-workers to try and make me feel like I was on his side with the good ones or whatever that means. Ultimately I ended up working with the guy I met up with on a different crew and things were a lot better than they were before prior. I figured we had turned the corner. Problem solved. About 2 years passed and I ended up on a trip with some co-workers and those two were there and it went right back to berating the shit out of me like back when we all worked together. Replace basic duties with the beer I fucking packed and the way I chopped firewood, and that was their ammo. Fuck 'em both. When my partner stopped showing interest, desiring me and trying after putting in 200% for him. Now I'm putting that towards my happiness to respect myself. A good friend of mine, at the time anyway, turned into a complete cliché. At the time he was middle-aged, recently divorced, successful self-made businessman, veteran. Then along comes this woman, maybe 15 years younger than him, and yes, very /attractive. She too is recently divorced. They hit it off and eventually get married. I didn't lose respect for him for that, heck you could hardly blame him. She was, we thought, a sweetheart. But she completely changed him. He abandoned friends, no not me, I ultimately walked away from them, changed his political views 180 degrees. To match hers, etc. In short, for some younger hotter, censored, he completely changed his life and became completely whipped. It was just too depressing to watch happen to someone I had looked up to. My best friend let her boyfriend, who I had never met, insult and scream at me for no reason. He was one of those people who starts an argument suddenly and irrationally. It started with him having some sort of meltdown and then began calling me a terrible person. I defended myself, which just made him angry, and he was then just saying things to make me feel insecure. After I argued back for a while, my friend also began insulting me with the same words he had been using. When I left and things settled, she came to me crying and apologizing while calling me her sister. He apologized too, but only because I was able to deal with the situation well. I guess people have issues, but it's no excuse to be nasty when you feel like it. I'm the end, so I am still friends with her and haven't so much lost respect, but it made me lose faith that she would ever defend me or take my side if I needed her to. I just can't ever see her doing that, and I honestly don't think she ever has in the past either. It really was a big disappointment. That the smart guy I hung out with for my first few years of college was just a manipulative asshole who parroted opinions from YouTube as if he came up with them. Doing way better now that I have my own ego and opinions. I hear he's still a debate me bro. When obviously there's something wrong with their attitude, but clearly they don't see it. My mother, when she said the only reason why she made us, so we can serve her. The time I lost respect for someone is when I was playing versus Saxton Hale and a medic said he will Uber me as we charge in to do as much damage. My medic runs away and Ubers a spy as I get chased by the boss and soon die. I never screamed so loud in my mic. My friend's boyfriend, well ex-boyfriend now, even some of my family thinking they knew me well enough to stop my overconfidence by systematically breaking down my ego the only way they knew how. Grouping up to convince themselves I needed to have my heart and trust broken repeatedly until I lost any sense of who I am anymore. I'm feeling suicidal for the first time in a long time, and now that they've been caught I don't even have my sense of self to rely on as my last pillar of mental stability. I'm truly lost and feel very alone and don't know what to do or who I can reach out to for help. Just now when the person who lives across the hall from me blasts music with his door wide open in the middle of the morning while I'm asleep. Someone being very vocal about certain thing but do the opposite when time comes to prove themselves. Heard my uncle said some misogynistic things to my aunt. Banging my mom. What a freaking asshole. A woman I know, a school teacher, soccer mom type, well liked and respectable in the community, started dating a man who lived with his child's mom, and married him 1 month later. The loss of respect came from her always being the voice of holiness and preaching on the evils of cheating and lying. The man, who I know personally, was with this other woman for 18 years, and one day while she was at work, he packed up his stuff and moved in with this other woman. This happened 10 days before Christmas. They already had their tree up and gifts under the tree. She came home from work and found him gone, and found out later through their shared child that he was in the smoky MTS with his new girlfriend. A month later the new couple got married. To this day, the wife still gets online and preaches about how bad it is to cheat on someone. And I use B and S so no names are used, but the kid I guess was trying to be funny and said just like S, B is wearing a skirt for easy access. The entire room got quiet and B put her head down, obviously upset, and the worst part about it is B was and probably still is the nicest person to him, and he still made the joke. It just hurt to see her that upset. She wouldn't move or anything, just sat there with her head down. A man I know has a brother who is a full alcoholic. This man talks about how angry it makes him when neighbors or family members give money to his brother so that he can get drunk. Then he goes and buys beer and takes it to his brothers and they get drunk together. Apparently it is only acceptable for his brother to get drunk if he is the one supplying him with the alcohol. I despise them both. My long-term boyfriend constantly looking up transgender prostitutes. And saying I didn't do anything. Stupidest word I ever heard. I lost all respect for him. Lying and betrayal. Any kind of abuse towards others. And not just other people, towards animals, towards life itself. By abuse I mean the willful causing of harm without any kind of regret, acknowledgement, or with having a sense of righteousness about causing harm. When I found out my father was walking around with a Vietnam veteran hat on, telling people he had Agent Orange exposure-related illness, telling amputees that had actually gone to Vietnam that he knew what they were going through. My father had never been to an area of conflict in his entire military career. It hits pretty hard seeing as how my husband has been deployed about 8 times in 22 years, and he lost a lot of friends. It may piss my dad off, but I will tell him he won't wear the gear and tell his lies in my or my kids' presence. Lost a lot of respect for him for that. I had a friend once, was a workmate, and we became friends outside of work. His birthday was coming around, and he was intending on a small party in his house. Few more colleagues, his friends from outside work. He asked if I would be there and I said yes. Come day. And one of my dogs is shaking uncontrollably and refusing to eat or drink. We rush her to the vets and find out that her kidneys are in shutdown due to her recent spaying surgery. It's a bad reaction to the anesthetic, and we were told she would be lucky to survive at the ripe old age of under 1. I contact my friend at the time and say I'm really sorry but can't come, family comes first and dog's really sick. We rush to get her to a specialist hospital, where she is looked after, pumped full of fluids, has to stay in with them for over a week, but her kidneys finally wake up and she gets through it. For the time being all is well because I'm still friend's boss inside work, so personal stuff doesn't play into it. But post the issue I was never invited to another event that included him, as he'd written me off as a person worth knowing. Once I went and changed jobs, all pretense was dropped and the teeth came out. Vicious rumors started circulating about me in my old workplace, started by this person, and I have only found out nearly 2 years later that this is why and where all this has come from. TL, drive, friend at work decides to stop talking to me because I didn't come to their 30th birthday party because my dog nearly died. Betrayal. My friend kissed my boyfriend. That thing when someone considers himself better and superior to others. When they went behind my back and betrayed me. When I came home and found my dog dogging my wife. To make it worse, my wife enjoyed it. So you know I had to join in it. Madness of a night, had to put the dog down to you know. Seeking out ants wherever we went to kill them and flood their home. I don't really hold that much respect for animals besides humans, but I have no idea why someone would kill thousands of animal lives just because they're ants. They didn't benefit from it at all.